Hi, I'm Jen. Welcome to So Much Yarn, a podcast about my adventures and often misadventures in quilting, sewing, and knitting. Thanks so much for being with me here today on our next adventure. I hope you are doing well. I also want to thank those who commented on the last adventure. Thank you so much for your kind words and for your feedback. I greatly appreciate it. And for those of you who ended up subscribing, it's wonderful to have you along with me on this adventure. Well, we are in February here, and it has been a busy month, but yet not at the same time, because smack in the middle of our February, we had a polar vortex, like an epic chill. Now, truth be told, I don't think it was as cold as the polar vortex of 2019. I thought we got down to lower temperatures there, but it was still cold enough that it caused many schools, including mine, to go into indoor recesses. And right now, indoor recess is not awesome for kids because of teaching in a pandemic and going to school in a pandemic. The students are in their classrooms almost all day, and then at lunch, and then almost the rest of the day kind of thing. So they were starting to get cabin fever, and so were many of us. But we are out of the chill right now, though last night we here in Calgary had some snow, so we are back down to a snowy end of February going into March. In March, we're also starting to kind of see, end of February, beginning of March, also starting to see things opening up, but yet not opening up, and then possibly opening up. But then anyway, every day is an adventure around here, as I'm sure it is for many of you where you are. And I would love to hear where you're from. So in the comments below, let me know where you're from and how your weather is and what your situation is. Are you able to kind of be out and about and that kind of thing? I'd love to hear how you guys are doing. Well, let's get cracking. Quilting. Let's start there as we always do. Well, last time we talked, I had two baby quilts that I had been working on, two baby brick quilts. And that pattern again was by Amy Smart. It seems to be my go-to one for baby quilts right now. And those two quilts have now been gifted away. But would you believe that I completely forgot to get pictures of the finished objects? I got them done, and it was truthfully a little bit to the wire. It was a little bit to the wire because January started to get busy for me. And then when I actually put together when these quilts needed to get to their recipients, it became, oh no, I have a week to get them finished. So I plowed through, got them done, and then I forgot to take the picture because it was in the polar vortex week when I had to get them done, and I couldn't. No, I don't know what happened. It was dark. It was excuses. I didn't get pictures of them. And I'm disappointed in myself for that. So I don't have them to show you. And if you recall, I was going to start immediately afterwards that snowflake quilt. And I had the fabric and it was pressed and ready to go. And like the Magpie, which, as my friend Christine says, is the trophy wife of the birds, like the Magpie, I saw something shiny and changed directions completely. Though truth be told, this is my friend Paula's fault. I'm going to absolutely put a little bit of the blame on her for texting me one night, did you see the quilt on Out of Hands Instagram? And I hadn't, because I had been in meetings all day and classes all day, and I hadn't. So I immediately went on to Out of Hands Instagram and saw the BoHo Heart Quilt by Jen Kingwell and Andrea Blair. And that is it right there. Shiny. And well, anyway, so the snowflake quilt got put away over in the shelves over there. And what was wonderful is Out of Hand had these quilt kits they were going to do, these fabric kits to make this top with pretty similar fabrics to the one that is in this booklet pattern. Well, we were really lucky, Paula and I were really lucky and able to actually get one of those quilt kits. So I'm going to insert a picture here of it because I've cut into it already, so I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So these are all of the fabrics, the fabrics that we are using in this one. So there's rich pinks and florals and teals, yellows, blues, exactly what you'd want in a quilt. So this is the palette that I'm using. And now currently in this pattern, there are 100 and I believe 108 blocks if I'm checking this right. Now, the way I figure it, because I love a goal, if I make 3 blocks a week, I can get this done by about September. Then I would have September, October, November, December to quilt it because it's big. And I'm not sure how I would quilt it yet. I have ideas, but it'll probably happen later on. But that's what I'm going to work on. So I have the BoHo Heart Quilt by Jen Kingwell and Andrea Blair. Now, how this happened was Jen Kingwell, who I love. She is an amazing, amazing quilt designer. And I have quite a few of her patterns, her books. I have made quite a few of them. I have 2 up on my wall right now, truthfully, at home. And I love her. I was so thrilled when I was introduced to her. And the first one that I made for her It's a Small World. So she had one called Gypsy Wife, which I also have an entire bunch of fabric for and want to make. There just are not enough hours in the day sometimes, though. So as I was saying, so this gal, this Andrea Blair, was putting together the Gypsy Wife, but instead of putting it together in the layout that Jen Kingwell had originally designed, this Andrea Blair decided to change it up and use a heart shape instead. Well, then Jen Kingwell and Andrea got together and created this. So I'm going to show you a few of the blocks that I have been working on. Okay. So I am on par. I have done about, I don't know actually how many I have done, but I can tell you I have 80 left to go because during my February break, I got 13 of them done and I wanted them 13, which was amazing. So ahead of schedule there, just in case. So I'm not going to show you all of the ones that I have done because the pile of 13 plus another 4 on the floor would just be too long. So this one here is one of the very first ones that I made. Oh, I hope that's coming together. And then that one makes a second one. So I've used this fabulous yellowy here. Awesome. This one here was this Dresden. This one was a little bit trickier than I had anticipated, and it was because of the big circle in the middle. So fantastic. I'm going to put those 2 to the side because they're probably my favorites. I've got this one. And I have a few of these in they're all, this next block is called the Courthouse block, and there's various variations of it. So this is the first one I started with. And then I got into the smaller versions of it. So it's kind of more log cabin-ish. This one I thought was really just fun. I like this stripy, almost animal print stripe there. This one, you'll notice that I have a lot of teal. I really do like teal. And so I have teal in almost every one of my blocks, that now I have to start pacing myself with the amount of teal that I'm using so it's not so teal heavy. See, more teal. Oh goodness. So we got that one there. And then these two possibly are my favorites. This one here, kind of more rich jewel tones, which is, I love the way this one turned out. I love this kind of greeny color with that purple. I think that is crazy. And this possibly is my favorite. And there was a piece of fabric in the, I'll just show it to you first. There was a piece of fabric in this one here that it was these beautiful big florals. And what I wanted to do was kind of cut it up, but still have it where you could sort of see the flower, right? This part of the flower is cut off of this petal, and this down here is cut off of these petals, and then it's kind of intersecting. So that's what it ended up being, and I really, really hope that that is coming through for you. So that is the quilt pattern and the quilt that I am obsessed with right now. So basically my week kind of goes, I come down while Ella's doing Zoom Taekwondo, and I put all the fabrics on the floor, and I pick out the fabrics that I want, which block I'm going to work on. And then I find a combination of fabrics that I really love, so I put it aside for something different. And then another day I'll come down and cut all of the fabrics. And then finally on the weekend, I'll put them all together. So that is what I am doing right now with my quilting, and I'm loving it. Really, really love it. Over to knitting. And knitting, I finished one of my Make 9, my first of the Make 9. I'm wearing it right now. This I shared with you last time, which is the Fintry by Knox Mountain Knit Co. And this one is done in Fiddly Dye Works SW Merino DK in her color Sawyer. And I had 4 skeins of this color, and I alternated basically every kind of 2 rows. And what I did is I started with the first 2 balls, and then once I got the first section repeated, I switched out one, next section, switched the third one in until finally. And what's amazing in the end is that I do have some yarn left over, and I think it would be a spectacular cowl, the Copper Foxes cowl by Casey Knit. So that's the plan for the leftover, and I have enough for that. So this pattern here, I talked briefly about last time, and I really did enjoy it. I find lace sometimes complicated in the fact that I have to concentrate so much, but this lace pattern I found to be really, really straightforward. I just marked kind of the repeats with little stitch markers, was able to work through it. Amazingly, did not make any mistakes in the lace section, which I think is a first. And I didn't have to basically be locked in a room with nobody talking to me and nothing on for me to work through it, which for me is the sign of a great kind of lace pattern. I could just focus on it. Though I will say I had a little bit of struggle with the picot bind off. Well, yeah, I did. I definitely did. The picot bind off is supposed to line up kind of, let's see here. We have these kind of center lines down these stem lines almost down this leaf shape. And those picots are supposed to end up there. And I don't know what it is about me with trying to figure out, once it's like bind off 3 stitches. This is not the pattern. These are random numbers that I had. Bind off 3 stitches, then picot this, then bind off another 4. And I think, then does it count the bind off of the stitch I have on the needle, or do I knit one and then bind? Anyway, because of some trouble with that and not being able to wrap my head around that, I think they're just a hair off. Not that you would be able to notice when it's on. Now y'all are going to be staring at that and trying to figure out if it's wrong. The other thing I struggled with was there was one instruction that was anchor the picot, which I appreciated because I don't really love a picot with like a giant hole in the middle there. It's not my favorite look. But for whatever reason, I had trouble with that. And it did take me a couple of times to get it. And I'm still not even sure if it's right. But I managed to get them anchored my way. Will I ever be able to repeat it? No, I don't think so. But I was able to get them anchored in a way where they didn't have kind of big holes throughout, which was nice. So just to kind of give you an idea there. So those are my little picots. So I've worn this quite a bit. It's been nice. It's been nice because the classroom that I teach in has varying temperatures. Some days I walk in and it's a balmy 26 degrees, and other days that I walk in it's like 16. So I never know how to dress. And sweaters, unless I have a t-shirt or something underneath it, I get too warm in, especially with kind of the way I teach. I'm a band teacher. I flail about a lot. And so I very much need to I get hot pretty easily. Well, and especially when it's 26 degrees and you're wearing like a wool sweater. It doesn't always work really, really well for that. So I've really enjoyed having shawls because then when I'm cold, I can wrap around my shoulders. But then if I need it off my shoulders, I can have it around my neck for just that little bit of warmth, and can easily just take it off when it's 26 and I'm in a healthy glow. So this one has gotten a lot of wear. So I love this one. I would definitely recommend it. And again, it's the Fintry by Knox Mountain Knit Co. Now, once I finished that, and I finished that at the end of January, so then it became what to knit next. And in my life, what I like to do is I like to get my husband Nate's advice. So the two of us, I'll cozy up on the couch, show him my phone with my Make 9 and say, okay, Nate, what should I do next? And he, in this sometimes decisive way, will say, well, it should be this or that or this or that, which I think I've talked about before. So this time I showed him my Make 9 and he said, well, you've already done a shawl and we are in February and it is on the cool side and it might get colder. So let's do a sweater. And I like how he says, let's do a sweater, like he's going to contribute to this. He's not. I will do the sweater. So we talked about a couple of sweaters that were on the list, and he ended up picking the Reluctant Homeschooler by Caitlin Hunter. And this is a bulky cardigan, and it really is a bulky cardigan. It is done in bulky weight yarn. It is big and oversized. It's supposed to be like 10 plus inches of positive ease. So it is big and cozy and everything like that. And his rationale was, well, you don't want to knit this in like September, or no, not September, oy vey. You don't want to knit this in like July, August when it's so warm out. You want to knit this when it's kind of cold and cozy. So that's what I did. So through the month of February, I have been working on the Reluctant Homeschooler, and I am using Cascade yarn 128 Superwash in this color called Hollyberry. So that is what I am using there. And it's a 2-ply, I would say, but it's kind of loose. I didn't realize that I liked a tighter yarn. I know that makes no sense at all, but I do it kind of like a tighter wound. This is kind of loose, and that's okay. It's turned out really well, but good to know that. Now this has been something else to work on. I've never done a cardigan before because I don't love purling. I'm a continental knitter, and so I don't love purling. And this is on size, let me just see here. Sorry. This is on US 11, which is 8 mil needles. And so those are big suckers, and purling with bulky yarn on this, it's been a little bit hard on my hands. So it's been a little bit slower than I thought it would be, but yet not. And like I said, I've never done a cardigan, so the construction of this has been very, very interesting, that I've had to read the instructions multiple times to think, is this seriously how this works? This is crazy. So currently right now, I am just trying to get this together. So currently this is the back, obviously. I hope you've got that. So this is the back of it, kind of here. So we have got, I've got some, I am caught and all attached by all of the strings and yarns that I have everywhere. So I've got these kind of sleeves. Right now I'm, you know, a little concerned that they're going to be too short. I know they'll grow. I know they'll grow. I know they'll grow. So there we go. We've got these, well, you know what? Let's just put them on backwards. Sure, why not? Sure. Oh dear, that one's really short. Okay, do not get concerned yet, Jen. Do not get concerned. So this is the back of it. These are my sleeves. And what's really weird is I did the sleeves first, and I just kept going, and I ended up having to magic loop them because with DPNs I was going insane. So I ended up magic looping them. So I did my sleeves, and then I attached them and thought, okay, what is happening? And so I've gotten all the way up the back there. And so the next step that I have to do is I have to pick up a gazillion stitches up the side, across the back, and then do that facing, and then buttonholes and things. So that's where I am. Now, when I usually knit in the evening, and I knit in my bonus room, and it doesn't have the best light. Truthfully, some days I wear a headlamp, a dorky headlamp, and knit in with that so I can see my projects. But then I'll look at my husband who's sitting beside me, Nate, and I'll blind him. So I don't always do that. Usually when he's not home, I'll wear the headlamp so that I can see. So the problem is, sorry, I'm just seeing what this fuzz is, but I think it's okay. So when I finished this top bit, I realized my next step was picking up all those stitches, and I thought, I don't think I can do this in the light that I have. So I'm going to wait till the weekend when I have better light, and I can sit back in the bonus room with all the blinds and the windows open and get some great natural light and be able to pick it up. So that is this weekend project when I can pick up all of those stitches and then finish this band around the body. So that is what it is. Let me just see here. Okay. Yeah, so that is what I've got to do. And then there are these wonderful pockets. I'm deciding if I'm going to do the pockets or not. I like pockets on my cardigans, but I have a couple of cardigans when I put my hands in them. Now the pockets look out of shape and weird. So I'm trying to decide if I will put those on or not. But needless to say, that is where I am in my oversized kind of around the house Holly Berry cardigan. And it's really great. And I can't believe that I did it. And I didn't whine too much about purling, which is a bonus. Yeah, ask me. And I'm sure if you ask my husband. So then, because I was at a pause and knew I finished this maybe Wednesday night, and I knew that I wasn't going to start picking up those stitches until the weekend, I thought, well, awesome. I get to pick a new project. Yes, off the Make 9. So there Nate and I were, all right, Nate, what's going to be next? And I expected him to be a little bit more, well, this and contemplative and No, he said, well, you've done the first 2 in the bottom. I'll show you on this picture here. You've done the first 2 on the bottom. Well, let's go in a row like tic-tac-toe. So across the bottom we went. And that means the next project that I cast on was the Molly Cowl by Shiny Superhero. I always trip over that with the S's. So again, Molly Cowl by Shiny Superhero. And I am using, I went back to Fiddly Dye Works in their SW Merino DK. And the color that I have is the spectacular navy blue called Logan. So there it is there. This is Logan. So I'm using this as my main color. And then I am using from Vivid Yarn Studio. I already said Fiddly Dye Works. So from Vivid Yarn Studio, I am using their DK in what is called Harmony. So that is theirs. That is Harmony right there. So that is the color that I am using. So we decided that on Wednesday. Then Thursday came and my hands have been hurting quite a bit because truth be told, they are pretty dry. The hand sanitizer is starting to get to me and all the washing, and it's winter out. So my hands have been cracked and very unpleasant looking, and sorry for that for those of you who saw. And I'm trying to apply cream like mad to try to help them. So they were pretty bad that Thursday night. So I just didn't knit, and instead I didn't knit. And so last night I cast on the project. And so this is how far, let's just try to get that out. So this is how far, and it's a, here we go. So it is a color work cowl. So there you can see the Logan, the navy blue, and then I'm just starting on the first few rows of the Harmony in the Vivid DK there. So that is where I am right now. I'm just starting that. I'm using my Chiaogu needles, my little sharps that Nate got me my shorts for Christmas. So my US 6 there, and having a great time. And when I do color work, because I'm a continental knitter, I can hold both yarns in my left hand, and then I just pick between the 2 stitches. So that's how I work my pattern. And so that I'm working on the Molly Cowl because it went across the bottom of my Make 9. And it is being housed right now in that crafty little fox ruffle bag that I was privileged enough to, and lucky enough, truthfully, to win on Palooza this year. So this has been great because it's just great and small, and that is that. So that has kind of been what I've been working on. Don't have a ton on the needles right now. I'm kind of just trying to focus on getting the Reluctant Homeschooler done and working on the Molly Cowl. But I will say I had some amazing things happen this week. I'm going to take this one off here. I'm going to take this one off instead, actually. There we go. Yes, anyway, sorry. I had an amazing thing happen to me in the last little bit. I was contacted by one of my local yarn shops, which is Yarn Twister. And Yarn Twister in Calgary is in the Mahogany area, so southwest Calgary. And it is a wonderful shop. And I stumbled along it. I'm not sure if I told this story, but I was up in the Mahogany area, and I was dropping something off for a friend of mine who lives over in that area. And I had heard through the grapevine that there was this yarn shop opening up around the grocery store there. I thought, well, I'm in the area. I'm going to see where it kind of is. And so I drove around and I drove around and I drove around, and then finally stumbled on it because I don't know the area. It's a fairly newish area for us. So I drove around and I saw it. and I wasn't even sure if they were open yet. And so I parked and I got out and I walked to the door and they were open. Now, not officially. It was kind of, they were doing kind of a soft opening before the grand opening. And so I walked in and I met Lisa and Michelle, who are the wonderful owners of that store. And we got gabbing and I started to look around and I ended up coming out with a few things. And yeah, started to look around, and then they told me about their knit nights that they were planning to host and everything like that. And then they had their knit night, so I was there almost pretty much every Thursday evening knitting away before the pandemic. And we have become good friends over this time. I cherish their opinions and their advice, and I love hanging out with them and hearing about their adventures and being part of their life. Well, as I was saying, I got a message from them one day to pop on in, and because we were going to do a bag. I make bags, and they were looking for some more bags. So I was going to drop off some bags, and they said, we want to show you something. Okay, of course I'm going to go see it. So I popped on over, and there they handed me this yarn. And I'm going to show you this one here without, I took the ball band off of this one to show you. Okay, so there it is there. So I'm going to pop even closer so you can see all of the kind of gorgeous colors in there. Look at this side with those colors. Amazing. Right? So they popped in and they handed me this yarn, and I thought, oh my goodness, that is so pretty. It's got these teals, and I love teal, and it's got these golds in it. I love golds, and it's got these hot bright pinks. Who doesn't love a bright pop of pink? And it's got these reddy tones and these coppery tones. Well, who doesn't love that? Well, then I find out that they I'm going to try to do this without getting a little bit weepy here. How embarrassing. To then find out that they have gifted me with this, and they have honored me with this. And I do think I hold this as a great honor and a privilege. And I'm so humbled by this, But it's called Eklund, which is my last name. So I have a yarn named after me. Isn't that insane? Colors that I love, bits that I love together by people that I love. So this is on their Ryland base, and their Ryland base is their fingering base, which is an 80% organic superwash, 20% nylon. And yeah, as I said, fingering weight. And there it is, and I love it. And do I know what I'm going to make with it yet? No. But I will say, I think it's going to be great either here or wherever it's going to be, but I can't wait to knit it up. This is my favorite section right in there. I love that section so much. Like, look at those pops on it. Oh, crackers. Look, if you dig a little bit deeper, there's that purple. Anyway, so that is that, and I love it. And like I said, I'm so humbled and honored to have that. Yeah, oh goodness. Anyway, so that is that. So that was incredibly exciting this week. Goodness sakes. The other thing that was pretty exciting this week was that that a yarn kit came in. And as you know, lately I have been loving Casey Knit patterns, and very much have been loving Casey Knit patterns. And she has one called the Sonora Sunset. And it is a kind of more oversized cowl, so not tight against, but a little oversized so you can wrap it twice. And she had kind of posted that there was a company who was doing some kits for it. So I started to peruse and found a kit that I thought was beautiful. And so it finally arrived, and I'm going to show it to you. So the yarn is from Heidi and Lana. So there you go. Heidi and Lana is who it is by. And the main body of the cowl is in this Homestead Decay, and it is in this steel colorway. And then the color work is in these other ones. We have Plum and Farmhouse, Mulberry, woo, Fossil, Shoreline, and Mist. So then the color work is in this bunch right here. So in the end, So in the end, we end up with this great sort of palette right here, which I'm very excited to work on. And this is more kind of, I would say, it's 100% merino, has a little bit of it's super squishy, don't get me wrong. And it is, oh, it's going to be beautiful. I can't wait. That's going to be a gorgeous color set together. Then I saw on Instagram that somebody had done it in 2 colors only. Well, let's just say I'm going to plow through my stash and see what I've got to do that with, because it was just spectacular. And while I was on their website trying to decide which one of the 2 kits to order, I found these spectacularly beautiful and simple stitch markers, that rose gold with this kind of rosy colors to it. So I ordered those ones as well. And so those will be beautiful. I do unfortunately have a habit of getting beautiful stitch markers and somehow using them and then putting them in dumb little spots, like little ledges, window ledges and things. And then when I go back, they're not there. And oh, anyway, where do you guys put your stitch markers? How do you store them? Do you have little containers everywhere? Or do you have a general spot for them? Or are you like me and lose them everywhere in your house? I don't know either. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been working on. March around here will be busy. March is my birthday month, and it's a big one this year. And it's actually coming up next week. So it is very excited about that. Even with pandemic, we have some fun things planned. And so we've got March coming up, which means report card season for me. So I'll be going through those a little bit, which will be busy. But then at the end of March, that brings us to a spring break, which will be nice. And my Ella and I will be able to hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer, so we'll be able to get up to some crazy adventures. Well, that kind of does it for today. We've talked about quilting, we've talked about some knitting, we've talked about some incredible gifts. Again, I just have to show you again. Oh my word. Some incredible gifts that I have been given. We talked about weather. So I think for today, I think that's all we're going to talk about. So before signing off today, I want to thank you again so much for being with me here on my adventure. How nice that there's no misadventures this time. But I do look forward to the next time we are together. And I hope that you find your joy in the journey. Bye for now.